Hey, everybody. Welcome to our weekly live stream. Hi, Carolyn. Oh, thank you about that. Yeah, I'm excited to do this again with you guys. So, if it's the first time you're joining this live stream, pretty much how it works is we are going to talk about three planty subjects, and we're going to talk about them together, engage with each other, pretty much just kind of hang out and continue to build this plant community here on YouTube. But to get started, I'd like to get an idea where everyone is from. So, let me know where you guys are from. Hi, Marloka. Good morning. Beautiful people. Hello, hello, hello. From Texas. Is it still warm there, or are we getting like to the fall season? California. York, UK. Wow. New Jersey. Newfoundland. Greetings from Chicago. New York. All right. Wow. Looks like everyone is from a lot of very warm still, Brittany. Okay, that's good to hear. Here it's starting to really cool off. We're hitting that fall season, and in about a few weeks we'll probably get into the winter season. Hi, Sherry. Oh, Sherry Kumar. Oh, you're from Kansas. Okay, for some reason I thought you were from California. Hi, Shumi. All right. And for those of you guys who are watching this live stream after it's ended, you can follow along with the live chat. The live replay will show up. After a few hours, it's been when the stream has ended. If you're watching it from your desktop, it'll show up on your right-hand corner. If you are watching it from your phone, you'll have to turn your phone landscape, and then there's a little message button that you have to push. But yeah, let's get started. Oh my God, I used to watch your videos during pandemic. You know what? That's self-revival. I want to talk a little bit about during the height of the pandemic and when the plant craze was about. So that's our second subject we're going to talk about. Our first subject is gonna be, I did a little mini plant haul. I'm gonna confess, after my little updated tour video a few weeks back, I did say I was gonna be a little bit more intentional and be more mindful on the type of plants I get, because I don't want to get carried away to a point where it was during COVID where my whole place was just filled with plants. But I couldn't resist these three plants, and I hope a lot of you guys can relate still. But I want to share three plants I got that you didn't see on my YouTube video. And but I want to ask the audience, I want to ask all of you guys as well. Let's do a little poll, because I know you guys like your polls as well too. So, and I want you guys to be honest. Did you buy a plant or plant this past week? Yay. No. And all right, so start that poll. And while we're waiting for the results of that, the first plant I'm going to show you guys, hi from Philippines. Hey, Mechi, is a, I bought two. This is a philodendron Florida Beauty. I've always wanted one. I love my Florida Ghosts. I really love the Florida Ghosts, but I've always wanted this one. It's just they were super expensive, a while back. So the price has gone down quite a bit. This still costs a little bit more. It is still a juvenile, and but yeah, the variegation on this is really, really nice. It looks to me like it's gonna be consistent, and I can't wait for the tri-leaf to show up. Yeah, you found a pink princess for $29. That's not bad, Beth. Okay, so do you guys? Are a lot of you guys into philodendrons, and do you have the Florida Beauty? I know this was very rare at one point, so but yeah, I'm glad we're able to find it here now. I actually got this from my shop, so I'm gonna be honest there. But yeah, I went looking but didn't buy anything. All right, so let's see the results of the poll now. And poll. Okay, 52% of you said yes, you did buy a plant. 40% of you said no. Oh no, you missed the poll. Sorry, Brittany. It shows up at the top of the chat. So hopefully next time we're gonna do a couple more throughout this live stream. We're gonna do a couple more streams. But for those of you guys that bought, what plant did you guys get? Yes, an aloe by Kini. Oh man, I love an aloe, and I missed the one. My big one, if you guys remember, is actually in my shop right now. So I do plan on bringing that guy home sometime. But I do have my small one by the kitchen. I need to stay away from plant auctions on Instagram. All right, Joey. I don't blame you. Okay, so the next plant I got, a white wizard. Oh, that's a beautiful one too. Although I find the white wizard, I find sometimes it struggles to keep the variegation consistent. Hopefully not in your case, but I know for mine it didn't do too well. So the next plant I'm going to show you guys is this Hoya Sarawak or Latifolia Sarawak. So this one has the pink flowers. Now I like Hoyas because they generally don't grow fast for me. They're very minimal growth throughout the year for me. So I like the fact that they can contain and stay small and not like take over my entire wall. So I did get this beautiful Hoya. Super easy. Hoyas I find really easy to care for. I have not bought a plant this week, but I'm guilty of window shopping online. I, uh, variegated alocasia fried egg. Yes, that's a beautiful one. I struggled with the green fried egg, but I'm hoping now with the variegated one, I'm gonna be more attentive to it. I'm not gonna just let it like forget about it. So I love me some Hoyas for the foliage, not for the flowers. I agree. Honestly, like all my Hoyas, because they don't grow often, I don't usually get a lot of penduncles. They don't usually bloom for me, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that because I do like them more for the foliage. And like this Sarawak right now looks really cool with the veins. But yeah, sorry, it was White Knight. Okay, yeah, the White Knight. Yeah, the one has more of the burgundy. I think that's the White Knight. Bought my first Thai constellation and Vitorfolium and Villanarum. Wow, you went on a big haul there, Tracy. And Forgetty Eye. Well, congrats on your first Thai constellation. I finally found a Ficus Shariana. Congrats to you, Brittany. That is one of my favorite. That's my favorite Ficus right now. So um, the next plant I want to show you guys is another Hoya. It is the Carnosa Wilbur Graves. Yeah, look at this one. So cool. I've been looking for this one for a while, and I actually stumbled upon it not too long ago at my little. I was in East Chinatown, and there's a little corner plant shop there that I love. I think it's a better shop than mine, to be honest. They're just a little bit more smaller, a lot more like unique. They also sell fish there as well, like little fish for your fish tanks, and yeah, really cool. But man, I love this Hoya, and like I said, I don't mind if this never blooms because I just like the foliage. It has more of an elongated leaf and it has a lot of big silver patches. Although I find with the smaller leaves right here, it reminds me of the freckle splash, which I do have. It's in the shop right now, but yeah, this is my Hoya. Hoyas are hardy. I agree, Vanessa. It's one of the reasons why I love them. And if you guys remember during my updated plant tour video, a lot of my OG plants are still my Hoyas that I've had for at least some of them over 5 years now. They're just so hardy. It's super easy to care for. But yeah, so what else did everyone get? Okay, you got your Thai. I love Hoyas. Hi, Gonzala. Hoyas. Loving my plant collection, but the watering and care can be very overwhelming. Can't stop buying. Yeah, I don't blame you, Brittany. There's times where, and I think that's why I had to kind of downsize, is because it got to a point where my lifestyle changed slightly after, once I opened up the shop, to a point where I just couldn't keep up with caring for the plants here at home as well as those at the shop. So I did have to downsize quite a bit. Hi, Lemma. Yes, I'm back pretty much just hanging out with you guys. All right, so that is our little plant. Oh, no, I do have one more. I did get this at the shop. I also got a Sunset Cement. She makes these scented candles, and this one's the honeydew. But why I like her candles is because it's based off like more fruits or food or whatnot, and they smell so natural. You know how sometimes you get candles from like, I don't know, Home Sense, and it's labeled like honeydew, but yet you can smell the hint of like chemicals or perfume. Anyway, but hers smells so natural. And you guys remember like when we were in elementary or in kinder school or whatnot, and you'd smell the markers? This is so much better than that. I'm just kidding, but it is so much better. And you can actually reuse her vessel. So this is made out of cement, and I use it to, for example, put my plants in. So yeah, It comes in many designs, so really cool. But yeah, so that's what I ended up getting at the shop. Now, any questions when I guess what I just shared with you guys, the particular plants? If you have any questions on that before we move on to our next topic. Nice looking candle, so cool. I have a Hoya Crimson Queen and it just stopped growing. Any ideas why? Hmm. Possibly, so Hoyas are weird because I have Hoyas that literally do not grow for months. Like they're just dormant. They don't grow a new vine, and they're just fine like that. As long as they're still alive and they're healthy, it's totally fine. And then out of nowhere, sometimes I'll get a new shoot of vine with my Hoyas, and then that's it. I'll just give me a vine, no leaves on it, and then a few months later, it'll probably start showing some leaves. So I wouldn't worry so much about it if your Hoya just stopped growing out of nowhere. Um, as long as it's not dying or losing leaves and it's still healthy and alive, it'll be fine. Hi RJ, let's see the pup. Okay, he's sleeping right now, but I'll call up. Ficus here. Come on, buddy. Come on. Up, up. Come on. Up, up. Up, up. Here. Hi. Want to say hi? Okay. Who's that? Hi, buddy. Oh man, I love this puppy so much. He's super sweet, and but yeah. Okay, you want to go back now? Okay. All right. Okay. There, that he is a big puppy. He is very cute, and it's kind of tough when I'm taking him for a walk because everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's so cute! Can I pet him?" And like I said, he's not good with strangers. It takes him a while to be comfortable with strangers, and he has to sniff you and see you like multiple times before he can feel comfortable for you to pet him. My 50-year-old Hoya carnosa was my grandma's finally bloom when I started the moss bowl. Yeah, absolutely, Beth. Like I've heard people have Hoyas for generation. It's been passed on down, and that's another reason why I love Hoyas. And if you do want your Hoyas to like grow, I do find if you put them in the greenhouse, they grow consistently because I have had Hoyas in my greenhouse. Uh, all right, I have a prayer plant leaves, get some brown time. Should I be misting it? Okay. You want to definitely give it humidity, but for the one thing I forgot to mention during this live stream is let's keep the questions relating to the topic, and then at the end of the live stream, we're gonna do an Ask Me Anything where you guys can ask me questions that maybe we didn't have a chance to talk about during the section. Now he won't leave me alone. He wants pets all the time. All right. So next subject I want to talk about is plant craze of 2020. So for some of you guys, most of you guys might know that I started my plant journey probably 2017 when it really took off for me. Even though growing up I've always had plants, just my grandpa was an avid plant guy as well as my mom. But it was 2017 for me, and I know when obviously COVID happened, the plant market or the plant craze really took off and blew up. So it was at that point where I had probably the most number of plants because I already before the COVID 2020, like for me, I already had a lot of plants and it really took off. So I'm curious to find out from everyone. I'm gonna start a new poll here. Is when did you start your plant journey? Before COVID, during COVID, or after COVID, just to kind of get an idea on, like where did everyone's plant journey started. So the poll is there. Okay, getting some good answers. I'll wait till that goes. But there was at one point I think I counted about probably close to like 270 to 80 plants in my condo at one time. That was a lot. And yes, a lot of them were small, like my Hoyas and whatnot. But there was a lot of plants, and plus I had all those like Millsville cabinets, if you guys remember. So it was pretty wild. Okay, did everyone see the poll? All right. Okay, let's see where everyone started. And we're going to end the poll now. Okay, so it looks like 53% said before and 30% said during, and then 60% said after. It's a good mix because Yes, there was a lot of us who started before, but definitely a lot of new plant parents that joined us during COVID. And often get people come to the shop and say they started during COVID. They watch my videos; it helped a lot them get through some of their tough times. I know it personally did for me, but I'm curious to find out from everyone at what how plant collection change during COVID to where it is now? Like, do you guys find that you have more plants or you have less plants? Should we do another poll for that one? My mom had a green thumb, plant mother of thousands. That's amazing. Yes. I just started mine last year. I retired. Now I have close to 90 plants. All right, Tim. Well, first, congratulations on your retirement. And it's a great hobby to obviously get into, to kind of keep you busy. It definitely keeps us a lot busy. Okay, so Liz says she has more plants now than before. Same with Kini. I definitely have less. Like I have a much more manageable amount of plants than I did during COVID. Alrighty. Started with plants in 1972 as a young hippie. I'm 69 years old now. Awesome, Becky. Oh wow! I wonder what was the plant during that time in like the 70s or 80s. What was like the it plant of that time? Like, was there a popular plant that everyone had in their home around the 70s and 80s? I'm curious to find out, Becky, if you have insight to that. By all means, share along. I started with succulents, increased into all types by Misty. Yeah, succulents are good. I really got to succulents a couple, maybe like the summers, 2 summers ago. I love them, especially during the summer when you just throw them outside and they just like change colors. Ficus benjamina, really, Becky? That was the it plant. I can see that was being the it plant in the 70s and 80s. If you think about, because they have like kind of like a willow type of look, I can see that being a lot of homes, and it does kind of give that vibe. Wow, I named Ficus after Ficus benjamina, so his full name is actually Ficus benjamin. A peperomia cavaretta. Okay, that was one of the it plants back in the 70s, 80s. That's cool. I did have one of those. I think it was one of my first peperomias. It has the red backing, if I remember. Love Calathea, but can't keep them alive. Swedish ivy, believe it or not. Wow. Okay. Cool. So it'll be interesting. I'm glad you shared those insights, Becky, because Philly leaf fig, yeah, of course. I think that's going to be a classic and timeless plant. I can see it being an it plant for years to come. That and the monstera, I find like that's always going to be a plant that everyone wants to at least have or experience or keep in their home. Alrighty. Well, thank you for sharing that. Any more questions relating to, if you guys want to share anything about the plant craze of 2020 and how has your collection changed now? My mom was a plant collector in the 70s. She had mostly philodendrons and huge Swedish ivy. Okay, Sherry. So Becky also mentioned Swedish ivy. So that's pretty cool. Any string of things always get mealy bugs. um, Oftentimes you'll have to just stay on top of it. They are a little bit prone to it, especially you just gotta. Yeah, once they go way get out of hand, it's really hard to control them. All right. So next topic we're going to talk about, if there's no more questions relating to plant craze of 2020, is plant propagation. So you guys know I love propagating plants, and there's many different methods to propagate houseplants. It's the best and cheapest way to grow your plant collection, and it's also a great way to kind of share amongst your friends or family. So many reasons why we should propagate houseplants. But there's different methods when it comes to propagating houseplants. I know when I first started, I used to do the putting the cuttings in water method. Some like to put their cuttings in a substrate, whether it's soil or like a perlite moss combination, and others like to create prop box. So I've experienced all three of them, and I've come to enjoy one more than the other. There's a lot of pros and cons, but I'm curious to know what your favorite method is when it comes to propagating your houseplants. So we're going to do another poll. What is your favorite method to propagate houseplants? All right. Cuttings in water, cuttings in substrate, whether that's soil or moss, 10 um, cuttings in prop box. All right. So let's start the poll. And yeah, so when it comes to propagating houseplants, um, my favorite method, if I was to rank them in order, would be a prop box, cuttings in water, and then cuttings in a substrate. Sometimes it really does depend on if it's like a top cutting or not. A top cutting, if it's like a climbing plant, I'll put in a substrate. I'll plant in a substrate, and I'll usually use a moss and perlite when it comes to my substrate. But cuttings in water is great for like pothos. I find super easy. And then prop box, I like when it comes to just getting nodes, like just a whole bunch of like nodes. I just like to throw it in a prop box. But let's see what everyone prefers. Okay, let's end the poll. And all right. 72% says cuttings in water. I don't blame you. Super easy. 90% surprisingly cuttings in substrate. You know what? Yeah, if it's, I would probably say more moss. I find with soil, I struggle, and a lot of my cuttings ends up like rotting. Prop box only 8%. I'm surprised because I love prop box. You guys know they are my go-to, and I just pulled this out of like the ones I had at the shop. But this is what's currently growing in my prop box that I've had for a while now. These are all nodes, mid cuts, and a lot of them actually are Monsieur Stanleyana and I forget what this one's called. It's the Epipredum Pinatum albo. So you can see lots of roots and moss. All right. So I kind of just give me 1 second here. Are you saying prop box? Yes. I'm currently propagating some dancing telegraph plants in water. Ooh, what is that? I don't think I've ever heard of dancing telegraph plant. I'm gonna have to look that up. Awesome Blossom, Vanessa, semantics, hydroponics. Yeah, okay. How come you stop Tycons from rooting? How can you stop Tycons from rooting? Vanessa will probably. I think that's what Awesome Blossom mentioned. Try hydroponics. That might work. Tie constellations are notorious for root rot. But again, save your questions near the end for stuff that's not related to what we're talking about, so that way I can make sure I get to them. Alrighty. Prop box takes a long time for me, but had good success with my Syngonium. You know what? Yes, absolutely. Prop box does take a long time. So my advice to that is start your prop box during like fall and winter. Honestly, because come spring, they're gonna be good to go and pull out of the prop box and start planting them. So that was the other question I wanted to ask. Like, when do you guys typically propagate your houseplants? Whenever you want to, or do you do it during a certain period of time? When I do prop box, I mostly do it in the fall and winter, or if the plant just needs a cut and I just need to throw it in a prop box. And honestly, sometimes I don't even look at my prop box for like months. So when I do open them, it's a nice surprise for me. All year round, Tracy. Yeah, that's a good way. The plants of prodigy. Telegraph plants are plants that move fast enough to see on their own. Oh, that's pretty cool. Rooting hormones for faster rooting. Yep, that's another tip you guys can do if you are a little bit impatient in getting your cuttings to root. You can definitely use rooting hormone. Joyce, I didn't know what a prop box was until you showed it. Oh, cool. Okay, so that's why the prop box question mark. Joyce, I've done a lot of videos related to prop box, so definitely check them out when you get a chance if you want to learn how to grow cuttings in a prop box. Do you recommend prop box with the bottoms? It's a little bit cut off there. It's like with the dark bottoms. I like my prop box like just clear. One, it's a good way for me to see the humidity that's forming in there, and if the prop box is really dry or if it needs some airflow. So I like mine clear. My prop box attempts have failed many times, either mold or rot. So I've heard that's one of a lot of people's challenges is the molding or the rotting. There's the way I determine whether my prop box is going to be successful or not is if there is a lot of condensation happening in the prop box. That tells me that water is moving and there's like there's airflow and there's like condensation that's taking place. If your prop box is like not there's no water droplets around the top or condensation happening and it's just like wet at the bottom, you're most likely going to create mold and rot because to me your water is a standstill. So either open your prop box every day, just let some airflow in, or you have too much water in there. I find there's a balance of enough water to keep that condensation happening and make sure it's humid, but not having so much water where it just like kind of stands still and it's heavy, if that makes sense. um, Alrighty, any questions relating to propagating houseplants before we move on to, I guess, our final section, which is an Ask Me Anything. I'm going to try and sell those telegraph plants in a few months when they're ready. And so I would love it. I'm actually going to look online after to see what those plants look like. I have a question. What can I do if my soil looks moldy? Okay, so if the top of the soil looks moldy, I would try and scrape it off and just kind of just clear that off. And then the next time you need to water, and then let your soil dry out completely. And then the next time you need to water your plant, just add a bit of hydrogen peroxide in your water to kind of just cleanse out any fungus or anything that's funky that's going on within your soil or your root system. Favorite plant to propagate? That's a good question. What's everyone's favorite plant to propagate? Ooh. This is, I think for me, it is. It's probably like epiprenums or like whether it's a panatum or like a pothos. They're just so easy. And probably second to that would be like monsteras because I think they're also one of the easier house plants to propagate. Yeah, that's a great way of using another prop box to save any like plants are in trouble. Rescue as many nodes as possible. I've done the same thing, Becky, where I just had to. I think the first time I learned prop box was actually with my philodendron melanochrysum. It was my first like rare plant back in the day, and it just kept dropping leaves. And I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And the way I saved it was I cut every node and threw it in a prop box, and that's how I actually learned how to use a prop box. But yeah. Do you ever grow wandering jewels? I don't grow them. I have propagated them. I find they're really easy to propagate in water, or surprisingly, it's one of the fewer plants I've been more successful when I propagate them in soil. All right. Now it's our final section. So it's an Ask Me Anything. You guys can ask me anything you want, whether it's related to plants or whatnot, that we didn't get a chance to answer during our first 3 subjects we spoke about. All right. How long is it taking you the longest to root propagation? I think one of the longer plants that took a long time to propagate, to grow roots in a prop box, is actually, I don't know why I keep putting in a prop box. It's actually my Scindapsus, especially my jade satin Scindapsus. It surprisingly takes really long to root, either in water or in a prop box, I find. And then the other one is that takes a really long time sometimes to root. For me was the Monstera esqueleto. The bigger, the cousin of the Adansonii with the big fenestration and the big leaves. Yeah, those are a little bit challenging. Liz, any new life updates? Were you the one who was asking about what happened, where I was? Because you were, there were some nosy people, but any life updates? Let's see, life updates. There's a lot. There's a lot. Obviously, I still have my shop, and we'll do an updated video on a shop tour and give you guys a little bit more behind the scenes on what's going on there. But I moved. That was a big life update. I really did try and enjoy a lot of time off for myself this summer. Looking back when I left my corporate job, I didn't take a break. I just jumped into my next thing. On top of that, you had the whole YouTube and social media going on. I opened a shop, so I never really had a chance to kind of just like take a break from it at all and just enjoy some social life, meet new people, make new friends. Despite the fact that I've been in Toronto for 10 years, it's not the easiest place to like meet friends or make friends. Unlike back at home in Winnipeg, where a lot of my childhood friends and lifelong friends are there and still there and will always be there, when I do go back. But yeah, that's a quick life update. What's your largest aeroid? Mine is 34-inch Thai constellation. It is the Thai constellation. If you saw my reel, as well as my elbow, they're both in the shop. And the next video we're actually going to talk about. I got my elbow to bloom. It has a fruit now on it, which is really rare for it to happen as an indoor plant. And then on top of that, it was on an elbow. So that's our next video, and I'm going to share with you guys how I did that. Did you get married? That's why we don't see videos of you for a while. No, Lima, I did not get married. But yeah, can you help? My Christmas Easter cactus keeps dropping its leaves. Um, I went from a medium plant to one half the size. Okay, so Christmas cactus. Ooh, I like Christmas cactus or Thanksgiving cactus or Easter cactus. Um, for me, I remember when I had one, the way I prevented it, the way it wasn't dropping leaves for me is I actually, because it's a cactus, people think you need to let the soil dry out completely for long periods of time. Just make sure that when the soil does dry out, you don't leave it in dry soil for long periods of time, if that makes sense. I think that was help. And again, a lot of lighting. They love a lot of light. Okay. Why does my jade plant keep drying out easily fast if I just repotted it? Jade plants. Maybe the soil you're using is too airy. It's too dry. That it's not retaining enough of the moisture. That could be another reason why it's drying up pretty quickly. Again, it's hard to give it without a bit of more context on how frequently it's drying out. Is it like every 3 days, or is it like once a week, or every 2 months? What's your best selling plant in your shop? Celine, surprisingly, it's the classic plants. Uh, it's the aglaonema. Aglaonema is a Chinese evergreen. The Philly leaf fig. Even though every customer who's new to plants and never had a Philly leaf fig, I always warn them, "Are you sure you want this plant?" And then I give them advice and tips on how to make sure it doesn't drop, which is consistency. So I tell them, okay, I water this plant every Tuesday and this much amount of water, and it's in a west-facing window. So try and mirror that and keep it when you do bring it home. But those are the top selling plants. Is the classic, the pothos, aglaonemas, the figs, the rubber plants, the monsteras. So yeah, you kind of went around the marriage way. We'll get back into that one. Green in life. My monstera leaves never split. Should I repot? Um, I wouldn't repot it if it's not time to repot. And the way to know when to repot a monstera, it depends how long you've had it, what size of pot it is. But if the roots have outgrown the pot, and that means the roots are growing through the drainage holes, they're coiling around, and you can just tell that it's drying a lot faster, then yes, maybe time to repot. If it's a monstera will split once it hits a stage where it's ready to mature. So that means the leaves are getting a little bit bigger, and every time it gets bigger, it'll have more fenestration and so on and so forth. Also, feed your monstera with the 10-15-10 liquid fertilizer during the growing season, at least once a month, to kind of give it that extra boost. All right. Monsteras have 5 stages of, am I right? Yeah, I would say they do have, I guess, 5 stages. The juvenile plant, the single fenestration, the double fenestration, the bloom. Yeah. Will you be back on YouTube more now? I'm not on social media, so I never see you anymore. Thanks, Nelly. You know what? Um, I I completely forgot how closer the YouTube community is, especially in the plant community, because um, when I posted my other video, just the response was really it warmed my heart. I'll be honest, and I felt really bad. I felt really bad that I felt like I abandoned a lot of you guys. And I was thinking more about it when I did that, and that's why I'm doing this like weekly live stream to interact more from a personal level, to be honest, versus like a produce and publish video, which we're gonna do that more often. But I really want to connect a little bit more into because even looking back, one of the things I did enjoy about COVID, I'm gonna be honest, is spending time doing this and just this and interacting with you guys. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making those silly skits. I enjoyed making people happy, making people laugh. I enjoyed just the plant conversation. So I do miss it. And but I guess to answer your question in a non-long-winded way. But yeah, I think you'll see a little bit more of me on this app. It is a little bit challenging to make longer form videos than it is in on TikTok or Instagram, but I do feel there's a bit more disconnect. I don't feel as connected there than I do with you guys here, if that makes sense. Thank you, Kini. Alrighty. Well, on that note, any more final questions before we end the stream? You didn't abandon us. You had just opened a new shop. I'm really glad you've been able to come back to YouTube more often. Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that. How can I get my string of hearts looking like yours? Yours looks great. Well, Tim, my string of hearts is no longer it's not as beautiful as it was once. And the mistake I made was I kept it in its original pot for like almost 4 years. By the time I had to repot it to an 8-inch, it just dropped so much vine. So I'm trying to now just get it back to that level. But yeah, I'm gonna do a few more updated videos, but I find the best care for string of hearts is just good lighting, southwest or east facing, and let the soil completely dry out. Should you use fertilizer during winter dormant periods? So it really depends on where you're located and what your current environment is, because during the winter, not every plant is going to be dormant or they're going to stop growing. Like, especially if you are using, for example, grow lights, or you have really good lighting, and your plants are constantly growing. You can maybe use a bit of fertilizer, but it really depends on what's going on in your environment. Like for example, for my place, I know certain plants are going to continue to grow. That's because of one, I have good lighting, and two, they just naturally grow. Like the pothos will always grow. My monstera will grow. It might just be a little bit slower than what it normally would do during the summer, but they're still going to grow. Do you a maximum number of times you rebuy plant? Do I have a maximum number of times before I stop rebuying a plant? Yes, and I know your question is relating to if you've killed one and you want to replace it. My max is probably 3 times. 3 times before I say, I'm gonna give up on you. It's not working for me. We'll move on to the next plant. But yes. Alrighty. Martha. Oh, Martha, you made it. Thank you. I felt abandoned, but understood. You had a plant shop that kept you busy. Glad to see you again. I'm sorry, Martha, but honestly, Martha, it's you, Sherry, Holly, Sally. Like some of the names I recognized back in the day when I saw you guys on my comment section. Yeah, I felt really bad and guilty, but it felt also very nice that I had a nice warm reception and warm welcome back. So really appreciate it. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me in this live stream. And again, we're going to do this weekly. I think Sunday is a better time to do it. So join me next Sunday again. But we're going to definitely do a couple of videos this week and a couple of short videos as well. And if you guys have any ideas or things you want to talk about in our next live stream, again, we're going to talk about 3 topics, plant related, and then we'll do our Ask Me Anything. Comment below after this live stream, or message it right now in the chat, and we'll see if we can get into that one. But again, thank you guys so much. Hopefully you're enjoying your sunny, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.